As a perfectionist, procrastinator, and worst of all, a student, I've spent my entire life repeating this one phrase: I'll do it tomorrow. After all, with tomorrow comes more energy, more time, more motivation. Tomorrow, I'll finally be ready. And then the alarm clock rings, and I wake right back up, tired and rushed and still terrified. And I take one look at my work, and I think, I know I said this yesterday, but I think I'll do that tomorrow. I've lived my life with parents that have high expectations. Slaving away under an education system that demanded nothing but the best, I learned very quickly to chase perfection and developed with it a crippling fear of failure. For the most part, this seemed to work out for me. On the surface, I seemed like a hardworking student trying hard to achieve their goals. But at the end of the day, I was feeling completely and utterly stuck in life. Despite having a jam-packed schedule spent rushing from performance to competition to classes, I felt like I never got any better at what I wanted to do. Instead, I was caving to the whims of whatever everyone else around me suggested that I do, whiling my time away working on projects that were arranged for me that I found minimally interesting but ultimately passionless. I was left without the time to pursue the interests of my own. For me, this led to a vicious cycle. I always felt like I had started discovering my passions way too late. And so I was always scared of pursuing my dreams because I always felt like I was bad at them. And because I always felt like I was bad at them, I never worked on them and I never improved. In this life, tomorrow became my singular reprieve. It allowed me to bury my head in the sand and tell myself over and over again, I'll start tomorrow. In a life where I constantly have to choose between comfort and interest, validation and passion, tomorrow is the promise that I can do it all. When I lived in tomorrow, it became an excuse to stay stagnant. I never had to choose. Because of that, there was no regret, no wrong choices, no responsibility, no consequences. No matter what I did or didn't do, there would always be 24 more hours waiting for me as soon as the clock hit midnight. For me, tomorrow became not just a date, but safety. So why is it that when tomorrow came, that magic never happened for me? The truth is, tomorrow never truly comes. We don't magically wake up one day more disciplined, more responsible, more skilled, just because we move one square ahead on the calendar. Instead, what we wake up to is ourselves, unchanged, still carrying that same hesitation. This cycle reveals something about our nature. We often believe that change is something not of the present, but of the future. We imagine that one day we will wake up ready to write the novel, to make the call, to speak the truth, to take that leap. But readiness is not a gift of the future. Readiness is born in the act of beginning. A painter does not become ready to paint by dreaming about it all day at home. No, they become ready by picking up the paintbrush. A traveler does not become well-traveled by studying maps in the comfort of their own home. They become ready by taking that first step out of their house. And so change does not come by waiting for today. So all we have to do is start today. So simple, isn't it? Why is this still a problem? If it were truly so easy, why isn't the problem already fixed by now? Why do we remain dreaming of tomorrow instead of living in today? The answer is simple, deceptively so. The fantasy of tomorrow shields us from risk. To begin today means to make an active choice. And with choice comes responsibility. To choose to step out of your comfort zone, to choose to work instead of play, even if the circumstances aren't perfect, means that we have to take responsibility for the possibility of failure, of rejection. But the uncomfortable truth is, you can't avoid choices forever. Choosing not to make a choice is still a choice. Choosing to postpone is still an action. And as with every action, it comes with its own unique consequences. In this case, regret. It is not fate nor circumstance that holds us back, but ourselves. When we delay, we stay wallowing in our own sadness, believing that we are a victim instead of taking responsibility for our actions in our lives. I still remember talking to my friends about this dilemma. I had been lamenting about how I felt stuck between satisfying others, carrying out the soul-sucking work of fulfilling a parent's expectations, when what I really wanted to do was to pursue my own passions, be it horse riding or musical theater or something as simple as playing video games. But instead, they said something that had shifted my mindset entirely. They told me that they felt like whatever I chose, I would find some way to mourn it anyway. Not because the choice was bad, but because I would be forever living for that what-if situation. What if the other situation was better? And I would never know. That changed something in me. I realized the problem laid with myself. In order to take a stand, to move forward, I would have to choose what I wanted to do. And I had been choosing to live in the fantasy of tomorrow while mourning a today that was not even gone. When I recognized that today was something I could choose, my perspective shifted. I can choose to pick up the brush. I can choose to step out that door. If I wanted this for myself, I would have to be responsible for it. If I never voiced my interests or pursued them, I would still be playing piano instead of singing, doing speech and debate instead of musical theater, and worst of all, swimming instead of doing horse riding. I would be helpless, still stuck and betrayed by the fact that tomorrow wasn't easy. That realization may not have made me any more ready. In fact, it made everything infinitely scarier, knowing that whatever choice I made, the responsibility would have to be mine. However, it made me realize that I couldn't keep blaming the circumstances when I had already given up on living today myself. I needed to build the life that I want. It gave me agency. We are accountable for what we do or what we don't do. In idly waiting for tomorrow to save us, we are choosing to stay stagnant, resigning ourselves to an eternity of treading water. In order to step forward, we must make an active choice. To make the choice that will take us not to another tomorrow, another promise that will inevitably fail, but to make the choice that will bring us to a better today. We must reimagine tomorrow, not as something that comes for us, to save us, but instead as something that pushes us to do our best, that gives us a direction to march in. By doing so, we break down tomorrow's facade of perfection and transform instead from a passive witness into an active participant that can change our own future. Once we realize we are capable of picking up the brush, of stepping out that door, of doing things even when the circumstances are not perfect, even when we are not ready to do so, we are no longer at the mercy of tomorrow. In the end, there is only one truth. Tomorrow will never come. There is only today, unfolding endlessly, one today after another, again and again and again. We will never be able to live in tomorrow. So then the question is, what will we do with today while it is still here. Thank you.